The movie opens in the North Pacific, near a gigantic garbage patch. A team of researchers led by Sophia and her husband Chris have come here to report on how the marine life is being affected. During this, they receive signals from a shark that they've been following for the past year. Realizing that it's fast approaching them, 4 divers, including Chris, quickly put on their suits and jump into the water. Sophia monitors them from the control room and guides them accordingly. After a while, the divers come across a carcass of a sperm whale, which appears to be bitten by a large creature. Before they can inspect it, a bunch of sharks suddenly arrive at the scene. They appear to be scared, almost as if something was after them. Seconds later, a massive 7-meter female shark shows up, and it turns out to be the same one they have been following. Sophia is shocked by its size, as just a few months ago it was only 2 meters. Chris becomes scared and suggests that they leave, but Sophia wants a sample of the shark, whom she has named Lilith. Chris then reluctantly pierces the beast with an arrow, but this turns out to be a big mistake. Lilith gets enraged and starts encircling the divers at a rapid pace. Before they can react, it attacks them violently, shredding them to pieces. Back in the control room, Sophia is horrified to hear their screams. She immediately grabs a harpoon and jumps into the water to help them. But upon swimming a few meters deep, she is met with the gruesome sight of her husband's severed arm. Then Lilith appears out of nowhere and charges at her. Sophia manages to dodge, but the shark gets entangled in a fishing net and drags her to the depths of the ocean. Due to the extreme pressure, her eardrums begin to burst, causing her to scream in pain. But before Sophia passes out, she somehow cuts the fishing net and manages to reach the surface. The movie then cuts to 3 years later, and we see that Sophia now works at a marine center. She still blames herself for her husband's death and has been struggling to cope with the trauma. One evening, she is approached by a young student named Mika. He says that she's a big fan of her work. She also reveals that her group has been tracking the same shark, Lilith, that has become notorious for killing people. Although Sophia wants nothing to do with it, Mika convinces her to check out her private NGO. In the next scene, they arrive at the NGO, where Mika and her friends work for the welfare of aquatic beings. Sophia then meets with Ben, a hacker who is capable of tracking shark tags. Through her computer, she reveals that Lilith has strangely arrived in the Seine River in Paris. Sophia thinks it is impossible because sharks cannot survive in fresh water. However, Mika says that some of them have adapted due to the dirty oceans. She then suggests that they free the poor animal before it becomes sick and eventually dies. Mika wants Sophia's help in communicating with the shark. However, the latter believes it's a ridiculous idea and walks away. That evening, Sophia returns home and decides to track the shark out of curiosity. To her shock, she confirms that it has indeed arrived in Paris. Meanwhile, the activists Mika and Ben sail through the Seine, hoping to locate the shark. They stop under a bridge, and Mika decides to dive into the water alone. And after a bit of looking around, she comes across a car, which is riddled with massive bite marks. It is evident that Lilith is behind this. On the surface, Ben notices the cops approaching, so she starts pulling the rope to signal Mika. However, the latter foolishly lets go of the rope as she wants to stay a bit longer. She then continues her investigation until she senses something big lurking nearby. Babar, is that you? This freaks her out a bit, prompting her to return to the surface. The cops then apprehend Mika and take her away from there. The following morning at the police station, one of the cops named Adil asks Mika what she was doing in the river. She responds that she was tracking a shark, but the cop expectedly doesn't believe this. Just then, another officer arrives in the room, saying that they have an emergency. On the other hand, we see Sophia by the river trying to track the shark. When she spots a kid playing near the shore, she urges him to get away. Moments later, she is approached by Adil and Mika, who reveal that a homeless man was brutally mauled to death last night. They show her the body, and she immediately identifies that it's the doing of Lilith. Following this, Adil takes them to the police chief, as the situation has slowly started to get out of hand. Sophia tries to make her understand that there's a gigantic shark in the Seine. However, the chief believes it's impossible. An homeless guy ate himself. When the trio continues to insist, she asks them to prove their theory first. Later, Adil and his team decide to dive into the river and find the shark. Sophia desperately tries to stop them, saying she can track it using her device, but Adil wants to capture its pictures. After a while, they arrive at the tracking location, and 3 divers plunge inside the water. The first thing they see is a massive dead fish with its side partially eaten. Meanwhile, the stupid activist Mika is watching all of this from a distance. Assuming that they're going to kill the shark, she calls Ben and asks him to turn off the tracking device. The latter reluctantly complies. eyes and uses his hacking skills to do so. Inside the water, the divers get stared as they sense something massive encircling them. Babar, stop playing games now. But before anything bad happens, they are immediately asked to return by Sophia and Adil. This is because her tracking devices stopped working all of a sudden. The divers explain that while they didn't see anything, they felt the shark's presence. Adil then checks the recording made by the sonar and confirms that Lilith is indeed here. That evening, Mika goes live on her social media, revealing that a shark is lurking in the Seine. She emphasizes the importance of saving it before the poor animal succumbs to illness. On the other hand, Adil, Sophia, and the police chief head to the mayor's office for a private meeting. It turns out an international triathlon is set to take place in a few days, and thousands of people from all over the world will be crowding the Seine area. Sophia reveals about the deadly shark and suggests that they call off the event. However, the stubborn mayor straightforwardly refuses, saying they have already spent too much on it. He instead orders the cops to deal with the problem inside 24 hours. Since killing the shark would be inhumane, the group prepares to catch it alive. Sophia suggests that they lure it near the bridge and administer it with sedatives. Once it falls unconscious, they can transport it to the National Marine Center that the group continues discussing. Ben suddenly arrives there with a worried look on her face. She reveals that the shark is actually resting near the catacombs, a section of the city full of bones of the dead. Ben claims that her friend Mika has gone crazy as she is planning to lead a group of activists towards the catacombs. She wants to use sonar to lure the shark and somehow rescue it. Ben also explained that she has reactivated its tracker, so now they can know the shark's exact location. That evening, Sophia and the cops reach the catacombs through a damaged access point. They soon come across the crazy activists who've surrounded a large pool where the shark is currently at. Mika even dives into the water with a sonar, adamant on rescuing the animal. Sophia and Adil shout at her to get out, but the retarded girl refuses. I was in the script. Sorry. Soon enough, a large fin starts encircling her, leaving everyone terrified. But they become even more shocked when a second, smaller fin shows up. This shockingly means only one thing. Lilith has given birth to an offspring. The baby sharks and approaches Mika, and she pets it as if it were a dog. She claims that the animals are harmless and they need help. At this point, Adil realizes that an attack is incoming, so he immediately jumps into the water to rescue the girl. He manages to grab her, but she yanks him away and swims further. The next second, Lilith jumps out of the water and attacks Mika, killing her in a satisfying fashion. The onlooking people are horrified and they start running for their lives haphazardly. During the chaos, several activists as well as cops fall into the water. Most of them are killed right away, while some have their arms and legs amputated. Poor Ben also slips and falls into the pool, and as she tries to get up, she accidentally gets mead in the head. This knocks her out and she ends up drowning. Meanwhile, Lilith also tears apart her offspring. There couldn't be only one. Probably because it was touched by the human earlier. In the aftermath of this massacre, the injured people are rushed to the hospital. Sophia and the cops then investigate the dead shark and learn that it has actually adapted to fresh water. No shit. Furthermore, when Sophia opens its belly with a scalpel, she discovers several babies inside. This shocks her to the core, as the shark was only a month old itself. Upon conducting some further research, Sophia learned that the animal is reproducing by parthenogenesis, meaning it does not need a male partner. It then finally dawns on her that Lilith is a completely new species that they were unaware of. She tells Adil that if they don't eliminate it, the sharks will infest the oceans and destroy everything. Later, the two pay a visit to the mayor's office and explain the situation to her. However, with only 24 hours remaining for the event, the mayor refuses to call it off. She instead says the military will handle the security and there will be nothing to worry about. Adil and Sophia are enraged by her lack of understanding, so they decide to take matters into their own hands. That evening, at the police station, they gather all the cops and also summon 2 bomb specialists. The plan is simple: to go underwater and blow up the goddamn monsters. In the next scene, Adil and Sophia reach the location where the shark was last located and dive inside the water. A team observes their movement from the boats, providing them with instructions. The two have brought with them a propeller, lights, and even a sonar device to keep the sharks in one place. They continue swimming for several minutes until they finally come across Lilith's breeding spot. To their utmost shock, they notice not one, but thousands of baby sharks lurking around. Elsewhere, the triathlon competition is about to begin, and a large number of people have gathered at the shore. The mayor talks to the reporters and assures them that there's nothing to worry about. She then confidently initiates the competition, prompting hundreds of swimmers to dive into the water. Back in the water, Sophia and Adil proceed with the mission and turn on the sonar device. The bomb specialists then get to work and start attaching the explosives. However, when one of them tries to press the detonator, he is immediately attacked and torn to shreds by the baby sharks. Sophia urges everyone to stay still, as this is the only way they can remain undetected. However, the second bomb specialist panics and decides to press the detonator anyway. This attracts the sharks towards him, resulting in his painful death. Now, with seconds remaining on the clock, Sophia uses the propeller and drags Adil from danger. They manage to make it out just in time as the bomb explodes and kills all the baby sharks. Upon reaching the surface, Sophia helps Adil onto the boat but swims back again to inspect something. Just then, the mother shark emerges out of the rubble, scaring the life out of her. Sophia quickly reaches the surface and tries to warn the others about the danger, but it is too late. The massive shark launches the boat in the air, sending everyone flying. It then devours all the cops one after another, until Sophia and Adil are the only ones remaining. The two quickly climb onto the overturned boat, but the shark doesn't come after them. It instead heads towards the triathlon, where hundreds of humans are swimming in the open river. Then, in a horrifying turn of events, Lilith begins attacking the swimmers one after another. The onlooking spectators and reporters can only watch as the water soon turns red. A few moments later, the military shows up and begins firing at the shark. Adil and Sophia urge them to stop, but they are too far away to be heard. Meanwhile, the mother shark dodges all the bullets using her incredible speed and awareness. Adil and Sophia are finally rescued after a while, but the army doesn't stop their shooting. Unfortunately, they hit some explosives which were dropped here during the Second World War. A massive eruption then ensues, blowing up the bridge and causing the water level to increase significantly. Hundreds of onlookers are smoked by the explosion, while the others are swept away by the flood. In no time, the entire city is submerged in water, resulting in the loss of countless lives. In the final scene, Sophia is dragging an unconscious Adil when she notices several baby sharks looming around. Now, with Paris in complete ruins, they are only going to wreak more havoc. That ending was metal, and I loved it. Subscribe for more videos like this, turn on notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.